Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome to the sacred journey of Kaal Mantra. Embrace divine grace. Let the celestial vibrations uplift your spirit and guide you toward inner peace, abundance, and divine blessings. Open your heart, chant with devotion, and awaken the infinite grace within you.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are starting today's conversation with an image that's really quite something. It's simultaneously breathtaking and, frankly, deeply intimidating. Picture a towering figure, just utterly fierce. And he's not just adorned, he's practically draped in symbols of, well, mastery over mortality.
Right.
He wears this heavy garland, but it's not flowers, it's human skulls, the Kopat Kimala.
Yes, the garland of skulls. Very iconic.
And snakes, the Nog, they're coiled tightly all around his body, his arms, his neck. It emphasizes this kind of primal, untamed power.
It really does.
His eyes, they're described as blazing red and his teeth sharp, almost like a tiger's, sort of predatory.
Yeah, not a gentle image at all.
And in his hands, he wields these classic instruments, you could say, of cosmic governance.
Yeah.
The trident, the drum, a rope.
The trishul, the damru, the pasha.
Right. But there's one object that really sets him apart, confirms his identity, and, well, hints at his tragic origin. A severed skull, the Kapala. It's actually fixed, like stuck to his hand.
That's the one. That figure is Kaal Bhairav. And this deep dive takes us straight into the heart of some of Hindu mythology's most complex and certainly most formidable manifestations of Lord Shiva.
A Rudravatar, you called it. A fierce form.
Exactly, a Rudravatar. A fierce form born out of, well, extreme necessity and cosmic wrath. Our source material today, it's mainly coming from the Shiv Purana, and it traces a creation myth. Though maybe creation isn't quite the right word. It's more about authority, ego, absolute justice, and then ultimately spiritual liberation.
So our mission for you listening is to move beyond just the visual terror of this figure. We want to gain a thorough understanding theologically, practically of this deity.
Right.
We're not just detailing what he looks like, we're really digging into why. Why did he have to be created? What massive cosmic screw-up, frankly, necessitated his birth?
A transgression, yeah.
And why is his jurisdiction, his presence, so foundational today to spiritual geography? Especially, like you said, his role as the supreme, unyielding gatekeeper of Kashi, Varanasi, the holiest city.
Which is central to his story. But it's essential, right at the start, I think, to establish the meaning behind the name itself. Because in this case, the name really is the function. It's a philosophical statement rolled into one.
Okay. Kaal Bhairav. Break it down for us.
Well, the term Bhairav itself is profoundly symbolic. It's often broken down into three Sanskrit syllables: Ba, Ra, and Va.
Ba, Va. Okay.
Ba generally signifies creation or sometimes maintenance, sustenance of the cosmos. Ra represents preservation, protection of existence, and Var signifies destruction or annihilation.
So creation, preservation, destruction, the whole cycle.
Exactly. Bhairav embodies the entire cosmic cycle of existence. It's like the Trimurti principle, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, contained within this single fierce form.
Wow, okay. That's a fascinating synthesis already. He holds the entire cycle within himself. But then you add the prefix, Kaal.
And Kaal. That's the definitive piece. Kaal means time, but crucially, it also signifies mortality, fate, death.
Time and death.
Yes. So when you put them together, Kaal Bhairav, you're talking about the one who transcends, or maybe more accurately, the one who controls the entire cycle of time and death.
He's above it, or in charge of it.
More like in charge of it. He is this fierce synthesis of creation, preservation, and destruction, yet he himself stands outside, or perhaps lords over, the constraints of mortality that govern pretty much every other being. He's Shiva's ultimate enforcer, you could say, tasked with regulating the very mechanism of time and consequence.
Okay, right. So let's unpack his physical description then, because you said it's not just scary iconography, it's like a language of cosmic intent. If he's the controller of time and fate, how does that show up in this, well, intense visual form?
Well, we have to start with the intent behind the appearance. It's deliberately constructed, you see, to elicit both dread and submission, often at the same time. It represents Agora, which is often translated as non-terrifying, but it's that aspect of Shiva that manifests terrifyingly to those still caught up in illusion or ego.
So the terror is for a specific audience, in a way.
In a way, yes. The fierceness is paramount. Those large, unblinking red eyes, they signal this deep, unyielding fury, but also an all-encompassing cosmic vision, one that sees right through any falsehood.
Sees the truth.
Sees the truth. And then the sharp, tiger-like teeth. Yeah, this is not some benign, gentle father figure. This is Shiva's power, completely unbound, ready to consume, to destroy what needs destroying.
I think the detail that really gets me, as I mentioned, are the adornments. They aren't just decorative, they feel like trophies. Symbols of his authority over the mortal plane. Specifically, that garland of skulls, the Kopad Kamala.
Absolutely, that's key symbolism. The skulls represent his absolute mastery over death, and importantly, over the endless cycles of life and rebirth.
Okay.
When you see a deity wearing a garland of skulls, it's a clear sign. This is the Annihilator, the one who oversees the end of every material existence. The discarded heads are constant reminders of the mortality he controls.
It's also the ultimate symbol of non-attachment, isn't it? He's completely beyond the fear of death because he sort of embodies it.
Yeah, precisely. He embodies it. And then the snakes, the nag, wrapped all over him. Now, Shiva is often associated with snakes, of course, Pashupati and all that.
Right, Lord of Beasts.
But here, with Kaal Bhairav, they seem almost integral to his very being. They emphasize his deep connection to that primordial, raw energy.
What do they signify specifically for him, do you think?
Well, they do more than just link him visually to Shiva. They really emphasize his connection to the foundational life force, the Kundalini energy, often depicted as a coiled serpent.
Ah.
Snakes also often symbolize the subconscious, hidden knowledge, the underworld. So for Kaal Bhairav, they signify that he has mastery over these deepest, most instinctual fears and forces within existence. He's literally coiled in spiritual power, ready to strike or protect, depending entirely on the need.
Right. Okay, let's move to his forearms then, and the critical instruments they hold. This seems to be where we define his multiple specific cosmic roles.
Yes, the weapons or implements define his governance. First, there's the Trishul, the trident. That's the quintessential weapon of Shiva. You see it everywhere associating with him.
What does it represent?
Fundamentally, it represents the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, the three qualities that make up existence. Or you could see it as the three aspects of the Trimurti themselves: creation, preservation, destruction.
So wielding it means he enforces balance across all three cosmic functions.
That's a good way to put it. He enforces that balance. Then you have the damru, the small hourglass-shaped drum.
The cosmic drumbeat.
Exactly. The damru is the sound of creation itself.
Yeah.
It represents the primal rhythm of the cosmos, the vibration, the Shabda Brahman from which all existence springs forth.
So, interesting contrast there. In one hand, the tool of annihilation, the trident.
And in the other, the symbol of generative power, the drum.
He controls the sound, the movement, and then presumably the ultimate silence, too.
He does. Now, our sources also mention he carries a rope, or sometimes it's depicted as a noose. The pasha.
A rope? What's that for? Binding.
Yes, binding. That rope, the pasha, often symbolizes the means by which he binds, restrains, and ultimately judges souls or negative forces.
Okay.
You could see it as representing the binding power of negative karma, or perhaps the instrument used to pull the soul towards his reckoning. You know, when we get to his role in Kashi, judging those who die there, the rope is conceptually the instrument of that inevitable consequence.
Right. But the fourth object, that Kapala, the skull that's actually fixed to his hand, that piece of iconography feels different. It feels like a scar, a permanent physical mark of his origin story. It needs, like, a deeper dive just on its own.
You're absolutely right. The Kapala transforms his entire appearance, his entire meaning. It's no longer just a collection of fearsome attributes, it's tangible evidence of consequence.
It's Brahma's head, you said.
It is the severed fifth head of Brahma, yes. It signifies that even in performing what was essentially an act of divine justice, ordered by Shiva himself, he was immediately subjected to the highest form of ethical accountability in that cosmology, the sin of Brahmahatya.
The sin of killing a Brahmin.
The ultimate sin. So the skull isn't just something he carries. It's an inseparable symbol of his state of perpetual penance, right from the moment of his creation, lasting until he finds absolution. It really forces the question, doesn't it? Can even a divine executor escape the consequences of a divinely ordered action?
That's heavy. So this entire form, the red eyes, the skulls, the weapons, and especially that skull fused to his hand, it's the synthesis of the Va, the destruction aspect of his name.
Yes.
But it's destruction paired with inevitable accountability. It's Mahadev's most fearsome, yet perhaps most tragically burdened avatar. He is the cosmic enforcer who must also carry the weight, literally, of his own enforcement actions.
That paradox is absolutely key to understanding him. He is the Rudravatar, a terrifying form, yes, but unlike maybe some other Rudra forms, he is immediately given this burden. A burden that grounds him in the very rules of karma and sin that he's ultimately meant to uphold. His form isn't just a display of raw power, it's a living cautionary tale about the immense weight of absolute judgment.
Okay, so here's where the narrative of the Shiv Purana really starts to explain the philosophical foundations, the why behind Kaal Bhairav's existence. And it starts not with, say, demons attacking, but with a deeply philosophical debate that, well, very quickly spiraled completely out of control.
Exactly. We begin with the supremacy debate. This is a classic tension within Hindu cosmology cropping up in various Puranas.
Right.
You have Brahma, the creator god, and Vishnu, the preserver god, two main pillars of the Trimurti, alongside Shiva, the destroyer transformer. And they found themselves locked in this intense argument over who was the supreme, the ultimate deity, the source of all being.
And you can kind of see where each is coming from, right? Brahma is the literal source of all physical life and form in the universe. So naturally, he might claim superiority based on, well, creation itself.
I started it all.
Yeah. And Vishnu is the one who maintains the entire cosmic order, dharma, structure, a massive ongoing responsibility. So he claims superiority based on endurance, stability, preservation. It's a conflict between maybe genesis and continuity.
That's a great way to frame it. Genesis versus continuity. And in this particular rendition from the Shiv Purana, their argument intensified. It wasn't just a calm philosophical discussion. It was fueled by divine ego, ahankara.
Ah, ego, even among gods.
Especially among gods, sometimes in these stories. It reached a point where discussion failed, and they actually initiated a massive war. Right there, between themselves.
A war between the creator and the preserver. That sounds cosmically unstable.
Highly unstable. They deploy their Astra and Shastra. These are incredibly powerful divine weapons we're talking about. Not just physical things, but imbued with mantras and divine energy. And these weapons generated immense, uncontrollable fire.
We really need to pause here and appreciate the scale of this threat. You said uncontrollable fire. These aren't just like big explosions we're picturing. These are weapons tapping into fundamental cosmic energy, right?
Absolutely. The sources are clear.
Yeah.
The destructive energy unleashed by their battle was so vast, so potent, that it threatened to destroy the very framework of the three worlds. The teen look.
The teen look.
Svarga, which is the heavenly realm, Prithvi, our earthly realm, and Patala, the underworld or nether region. The entire cosmic structure was on the verge of collapse.
Wow. So the universe was basically facing annihilation simply because of a divine ego contest.
Pretty much. This is a critical theological moment in the narrative. The creation is being threatened with destruction by the very creators supposedly meant to uphold it. And the destruction wasn't part of a necessary cosmic cycle, like Shiva's eventual dissolution. It was just a byproduct of uncontrolled pride and conflict.
So seeing this imminent cosmic collapse, the other gods, the devas, the lesser deities, the demigods, they must have panicked.
They did. They appealed urgently to the third member of the Trimurti, Shiva. They knew that only Shiva, who often stands somewhat outside the direct operational structure when necessary, could possibly intervene effectively.
Did he know what was happening?
Oh, the sources indicate Shiva already knew, of course. He's Mahadev, the great god. His response is swift, but it's also deeply symbolic. He agreed to intervene, yes, but not by jumping into the fight himself, not by taking sides or using more force.
Okay, so what did he do?
Instead, he vanished from his celestial abode, Kailash, and reappeared right there on the battlefield between Brahma and Vishnu. But he manifested as something entirely different, something unexpected.
Which was?
He appeared as the Agni Stam, an enormous, boundless pillar of pure fire and light.
The Agni Stam, the pillar of fire. Right, this image is absolutely central to Shaivism, isn't it? And crucial to this specific origin story.
Incredibly central. The description in the Purana emphasizes its incomprehensible scale. It wasn't just tall. It was a pillar of light and fire stretching infinitely upwards and infinitely downwards, beyond any physical boundary, beyond measure.
Wow. And its purpose? Why a pillar of fire?
Its purpose was twofold, really. Restorative and philosophical. Restoratively, this immense pillar immediately, instantly absorbed all the fire, all the destructive energy being thrown around by Brahma's and Vishnu's weapons. It just sucked it all in, neutralized the cosmic threat on the spot.
So it acted like the ultimate cosmic firewall, just absorbing the destructive force by sheer, undeniable scale and power.
Exactly, like a divine energy sink. But philosophically, the pillar, this fiery lingam form, represents something deeper.
Which is?
It represents Shiva as the ultimate reality, the para-Brahman, the foundational source that has no beginning and no end. He's demonstrating visually and powerfully that while Brahma and Vishnu are mighty, essential, functional deities, they are still limited. They have forms, roles, boundaries. They are measurable entities within the cosmos.
But this pillar, it's boundless, unknowable in its totality.
Precisely. The pillar, being boundless and fundamentally unknowable in its full extent, establishes Shiva not just as another god, but as the true supreme principle, the infinite reality from which even the creator and preserver emerge.
So the column of fire instantly stopped the war. That immediate threat was gone. But did it stop the underlying ego?
Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it? The fighting stopped, yes. Both Brahma and Vishnu were understandably astonished, maybe even humbled for a moment, by the sheer scale of this fiery manifestation. But the root issue, the rivalry, the desire for supremacy, it seems it didn't just vanish.
So what happened next?
They immediately shifted their rivalry onto this new challenge. Instead of fighting each other, they made a new agreement. The one who could find the end, either the top or the bottom, of this infinite pillar of fire would be declared the supreme deity.
So the contest continues, just in a different form. It becomes a cosmic test of limits. Who can grasp the infinite?
Exactly. And their approaches reveal their characters. Vishnu, who generally represents perseverance, dharma, and truth, took the form of the Vara, the great cosmic boar.
The boar avatar.
Yes, and he went searching downwards, trying to find the lower end, the base of the pillar. He tunneled deep, deep down into the primordial chaos, into the very foundations of existence.
For how long?
The sources say for an immeasurable period. They really emphasize the sheer effort, the exhaustion of the search. But eventually he had to return. And importantly, he honestly admitted his failure. He simply could not find the base. It was truly endless.
His admission of defeat is critical there, isn't it? It highlights his integrity. He valued the truth, the fact that he couldn't find the end more than winning the supremacy contest.
Absolutely. His humility in failure is a key point. Now contrast that with Brahma.
Okay, what did Brahma do?
Brahma, representing intellect, creation, maybe aspiration, took the form of a majestic swan, the Hans, a symbol of discernment and flight. And he flew upwards, soaring higher and higher, seeking the upper end, the summit of the column of fire.
Did he find it?
Like Vishnu, he also failed spectacularly to reach the top. The pillar just kept stretching on, far beyond the limits of his aerial speed, his perception, his endurance. It was infinite in both directions.
So both failed the test. Neither could find an end to Shiva's infinite form.
Correct. But this is where the narrative takes a sharp turn. From a philosophical test of limits, it becomes a story of moral failure. A catastrophic one.
Right, so that sets up the crisis of integrity perfectly. The test was simple: find the end or admit you couldn't. Vishnu chose humility, honesty. Brahma, well, he chose deception, didn't he?
He did. And this deception is the absolute turning point of this entire chapter in the Shiva Purana. It's the act that necessitates Kaal Bhairav. Brahma returned from his upward journey, and he lied.
Just flat out lied.
Flat out lied. He claimed he had successfully found the upper end of the pillar. And to make the lie more convincing, more believable, he brought along a witness.
A witness? Who would witness something like that?
He coerced the Ketaki flower, a flower known for its fragrance, often associated with beauty, into falsely corroborating his claim. The flower lied and said yes, it had seen Brahma reach the summit.
Wow. So not only did he lie, he suborned perjury from a flower.
Essentially, yes. This whole act was driven purely by that ahankar, that supreme ego, which simply could not bear to admit defeat or inferiority. It insisted on being recognized as the highest power, even through deceit.
And Vishnu, what did he do when Brahma made this claim?
Vishnu, remember, had already admitted his own failure honestly. Bound by the rules of the contest and perhaps the protocols of divine discourse, he seems to have accepted Brahma's claim at face value, especially with the witness. The texts say he bowed his head in acceptance of Brahma's apparent superiority.
Oh, that must have just infuriated Shiva even more. Not only was Brahma lying, but his lie was forcing the honest deity, Vishnu, to submit to a falsehood. It's an inversion of cosmic order.
Exactly. The falsehood, delivered by Brahma's own mouth, the mouth of the creator, was an assault on cosmic truth, on Satya itself. And at that moment, Mahadev could remain concealed no longer. He appeared in his true, awesome form, emerging from the pillar of fire itself.
And he was angry.
Profoundly angered. The texts emphasize his rage. But it's important to note, His anger wasn't primarily about the initial fight between Brahma and Vishnu. That was sort of standard divine squabbling, perhaps. His intense wrath was directed specifically at Brahma's arrogance and, crucially, his deliberate, high-stakes falsehood.
Because a lie from the creator corrupts creation itself.
Precisely. The destructive fire that threatened the cosmos had been absorbed by the pillar. But now, a new, righteous wrath ignited within Shiva, a wrath directed at the corruption of truth.
And that anger demanded immediate action. Visible, terrifying justice. This is where Kaal Bhairav comes in.
This is the moment. To crush Brahma's inflated ego, to punish the lie, and to establish a permanent deterrent against such cosmic falsehood, Shiva initiated the creation of the Rudravatar. We are talking about the birth of Kaal Bhairav.
How was he created? Was it like a normal birth?
Not at all. This was a spectacular, instantaneous creation. Kaal Bhairav was generated directly from Shiva's most intense emotional state, his righteous fury. The texts often say he burst forth from between Shiva's brows, the Ajna Chakra, the place of supreme focus, command, and third eye vision.
So he wasn't molded or crafted. He was literally concentrated fury given form.
Exactly. He was the embodiment of the consequence of that lie. He appeared fully formed, terrifying, radiating power and purpose.
And his mission was clear from the start, no ambiguity.
Absolutely clear and immediate. Shiva commanded the newly formed, terrifying Kaal Bhairav to act instantly. The punishment needed to happen right then and there.
What was the punishment?
The punishment had to be both physical and deeply symbolic. Kaal Bhairav drew his sword described as blazing and immediately swiftly decapitated one of Brahma's heads.
Just one? I thought Brahma had multiple heads.
Originally, yes, Brahma had 5 heads. Kaal Bhairav specifically cut off the 5th head, the very head that had spoken the lie, the head that had looked upwards in false claim and uttered the falsehood that corrupted cosmic truth.
So it wasn't just random violence, it was surgical justice, removing the source of the lie.
Precisely. The head representing arrogance and falsehood was removed, and the effect was immediate. Brahma, now deprived of that corrupted head, his divine balance disturbed, instantly fell at the feet of Kaal Bhairav, the newly created enforcer. His pride was shattered.
Okay, so the punishment was delivered, justice served, ego crushed. But this act, even though it was ordered by Shiva himself, it had an immediate and terrible consequence, didn't it? One that bound the punisher himself.
Yes. This is the critical twist. Since Brahma, even the flawed Brahma, was considered the Parama, the ultimate Brahman, the source of all sacred knowledge and creation in that cosmology, the act of decapitating him, even just one head, automatically inflicted the gravest sin possible. Brahmahatya.
Brahmahatya. The sin of killing a Brahmin, can you elaborate on why that's considered so uniquely terrible?
Well, in ancient Vedic society and law, the Brahmin caste held a responsibility for maintaining sacred knowledge, performing rituals, upholding cosmic order through learning and teaching. Killing a Brahmin was seen as the absolute ultimate transgression, far worse than killing any other being.
Why worse?
Because it wasn't just taking a life, it was seen as an attack on the very structure of divine knowledge, on the link between humans and gods, on cosmic order itself. It was considered the most severe pollutant to a soul, resulting usually in immediate spiritual decay, social ostracization, and a fate of eternal miserable wandering.
Okay, so it's the ultimate sin. And Kaal Bhairav, despite acting on Shiva's direct command to punish a lie, he still incurred this sin.
Instantly. The law of consequence, the mechanism of karma, took effect immediately. The paradox here is staggering and deeply intentional in the mythology.
It establishes a fundamental theological principle then. That authority, even divine authority executing divine will, does not exempt you from consequence.
Exactly that. No one is above the law of karma, not even Shiva's own enforcer. And the consequence wasn't just abstract spiritual stain, it was immediate and physical.
The skull.
The skull.
Yeah.
The severed head of Brahma, the Kapala, miraculously, perhaps magnetically, stuck firmly to Kaal Bhairav's hand. It fused there, became inseparable.
So he couldn't put it down.
Couldn't get rid of it. He became a permanent, gruesome symbol of his sin, his required penance, and his ongoing burden. He, the force of ultimate judgment, was now instantly transformed into a cursed wanderer, forced into a state of perpetual penance, marked physically by the evidence of his necessary yet sinful act.
Why do you think this immediate curse was necessary? Was it Shiva teaching a lesson to his own fierce manifestation, or was it more a lesson for the entire universe?
I think it serves multiple purposes, but primarily the latter seems likely. It demonstrates unequivocally that the law of karma is absolutely impartial. It applies even to divine beings carrying out divine orders. Shiva establishes through this that while Brahma was justly punished for his ego and lie, the act of destruction itself, especially killing a Brahmin, inherently carries immense weight and consequence.
So the universe needs to see this.
The universe needs to see that even the most powerful forms of divinity must seek absolution for grievous actions. It reinforces the absolute necessity of spiritual cleansing, atonement, and pilgrimage for all beings, no matter how high or powerful. It sets the stage for the next part of Kaal Bhairav's journey, the quest for freedom from this very burden.
Right, so what's fascinating here, as you say, is how the entire divine narrative shifts. It goes from this moment of fierce cosmic justice to a story about a spiritual quest. Kaal Bhairav, the literal controller of Kaal, of time, is now bound by a temporal consequence, this physical, spiritual burden stuck to his hand, and he has to seek expiation.
Exactly. He, the judge, must now walk the path of the penitent. This part of the myth is crucial because it establishes a sort of geographical framework for absolution. It maps out, quite literally, where spiritual freedom can, and perhaps more importantly, cannot, be found in the cosmos.
So to find relief from this terrible sin of Brahmahatya, and specifically to get this Kapala, this skull, unstuck from his hand, what does he do?
He embarks on a great pilgrimage. It's sometimes known as the Paravayatra, Bhairav's journey.
And where did he go?
Everywhere. The text suggests he wasn't just, walking around the local neighborhood. He visited countless holy sites, tirth stalls, across the entire cosmos. All three worlds.
So places that are generally believed to wash away sin, holy rivers like the Ganges, powerful temples, sacred mountains, ascetic retreats.
All the major ones. Places renowned for their purifying power. He performed austerities, bathed in sacred waters, sought blessings at countless shrines. He did everything a penitent seeking purification is supposed to do.
And the result of all this extensive travel, all this penance at these holy sites?
Utter failure. Complete and total failure. He traversed the length and breadth of the three worlds, visited every major sacred center known to the gods and sages. But the Kapala remained firmly fused to his hand.
Nothing worked.
Nothing. No amount of ritual bathing, no amount of intense penance, no amount of accumulated spiritual merit earned at any of these other powerful holy sites could even begin to touch a sin of the magnitude of Brahmahatya.
That's a powerful statement about the severity of the sin, but also maybe about the limits of conventional holy places.
It implies, I think, that ordinary spiritual merit, even from very holy places, cannot cleanse a truly cosmic transgression. Something more was needed, something exceptional.
So, if the entire known sacred geography of the universe fails him, where does he finally find relief? There must be somewhere.
There is one place. His long, arduous journey eventually concluded when he reached one single, unique, sovereign spiritual spot on Earth.
Kashi.
Kashi. Modern-day Varanasi or Benares. Exactly. The ancient texts consistently position Kashi as something fundamentally different from other cities, even other holy cities. It's often called the Anandavana, the forest of bliss. It's described as a place that exists almost outside the normal rules of the universe, ruled and protected directly by Shiva himself. It's considered the earthly abode of Shiva, the location of the original fiery Jyotirlinga, the axis of Shiva's cosmic power made manifest.
So it's a Shiva's own city, in essence. And what happened when Kaal Bhairav, carrying this curse, arrived there? Was there a specific ritual he had to perform?
This is the most remarkable part. The moment of liberation is described as absolutely instantaneous and automatic. There was no gradual purification process, no complex ritual required upon arrival, no further penance needed within the city.
Just setting foot there was enough.
The very instant Kaal Bhairav set foot on the sacred ground of Kashi, he was entirely, immediately, and completely freed from the sin, the burden of Brahmahatya. The curse just lifted, evaporated.
Wow. That demonstrates Kashi's unparalleled spiritual sovereignty, doesn't it? It's like the only place where the normal mechanism of cosmic consequence, of karma, is simply overridden by the supreme will, the supreme presence of Shiva.
That's precisely the theological point being made. Kashi operates under a different set of spiritual laws, and the physical outcome proved the spiritual reality.
The skull.
The Kapala. Brahma's severed head, which had been intolerably fused to his hand through countless ages and across countless realms, immediately separated and fell from his grasp onto the ground of Kashi. The burden was released, he was free.
And that specific spot where the skull fell, it must be significant today.
Immensely significant. That specific location where the skull dropped is now revered as Kapal Mokhan Tirtha.
Kapal Mokhan. Mokhan means liberation, right? Release.
Exactly. Kapal Mokhan Tirtha literally means the pilgrimage site of the skull's liberation. The name commemorates the event. The site itself is defined by that very moment the seemingly indelible sin was instantly removed.
And is that where his main temple is now?
That is where the main ancient Kaal Bhairav temple stands today in Varanasi, right near the spot where his liberation occurred. So the myth does several things. It explains Kaal Bhairav's connection to Kashi. It establishes Kashi not just as a holy city, but as a unique spiritual sanctuary, capable of cleansing even the most severe cosmic sin, a power apparently unmatched by any other place.
Which explains why dying in Kashi is considered the ultimate path to liberation, moksha, because the place itself has this inherent power to dissolve sin and karma.
Indeed, the myth serves to tell devotees two crucial things. First, no matter how great your sin, absolution is ultimately possible. And second, Kashi holds the unique theological authority, granted by Shiva, to bestow that absolution potentially instantly. It perfectly sets the stage for Kaal Bhairav's next and permanent role. Having been cleansed by the city, he now dedicates himself eternally to protecting its unique power and administering its laws.
Right. So Kashi isn't just the place where he found his own personal redemption. It becomes the place where he decides to remain. He transitions from being this cursed wanderer, marked by sin, to becoming the permanent spiritual authority of the place that saved him.
Exactly, he stays. And he takes on a very specific, very potent role.
Which is the Kotwal. What exactly does it mean for a god, especially a fierce Rudravatar like Kaal Bhairav, to take on the role of a Kotwal? It sounds almost municipal.
It is a phenomenal juxtaposition, isn't it? The mundane title and the cosmic being. The Kotwal is a historical title, particularly from Mughal and pre-Mughal India. It means the chief watchman, the city superintendent, the head of police, the custodian of law and order within a specific jurisdiction.
So by taking on this title, Kaal Bhairav is basically establishing himself as the ultimate ruling authority and protector of Kashi. He's the spiritual police chief and magistrate.
That's a very good way to think about it. He enforces not just abstract cosmic law, but the specific local spiritual jurisdiction of Kashi. He is the appointed administrator of its unique status.
And this custodial role, this Kotwal duty, it establishes a pretty rigid protocol for anyone visiting Kashi, especially pilgrims, right? The belief seems quite unyielding. You can't just barge into the main temple, Kashi Vishwanath, without acknowledging him first.
That's absolutely central to the practice and belief in Kashi. The worship of Lord Vishwanath, who is Shiva himself, the main deity of the city, is considered incomplete, perhaps even invalid or futile if you haven't first paid your respects to, and implicitly received permission from Kaal Bhairav.
It's like cosmic bureaucracy, or maybe spiritual zoning is a better term. You have to pass the gatekeeper.
Spiritual zoning, I like that. You cannot access the core spiritual power of Kashi, embodied by Vishwanath, without going through the appointed gatekeeper, the Kotwal. It's considered mandatory for devotees, for pilgrims, to seek permission to darshan and prayer at his temple from Kaal Bhairav before formally entering the holy city precinct, spiritually speaking.
And if you bypass him, if you just go straight to the main temple?
The traditional belief is that your pilgrimage, your spiritual journey there, might be potentially invalid, ineffective, because you failed to recognize and respect the local authority established by Shiva himself through Kaal Bhairav. You ignore the administrator.
Okay, so this suggests a highly organized, almost systematic spiritual governance structure within Kashi. He's not just a symbolic guardian or, a bouncer at the gates. He's actively administering the city's unique spiritual laws and status.
He is the administrator, yes. And his very presence in the city is believed to bring immediate tangible benefits to residents and visitors alike.
Like what?
Well, beyond the formal permission aspect, it's widely believed that merely visiting his temple, offering sincere reverence, results in the immediate removal of all kinds of negative energy, bad luck, obstacles, fear, low vibrations from a person. He acts like an instantaneous spiritual disinfectant, clearing away negativity.
That's quite a power. But the truly crucial protection he offers, it seems to circle back to his name, Kaal. It relates to death and mortality, doesn't it? If Kashi is the ultimate site of liberation, it logically needs to be protected from the standard rules and agents of death.
Absolutely correct. Kashi operates under a completely separate protocol when it comes to death. This is fundamental. The agents of Yama, the god of death and judgment in Hinduism, who are known as the Yamdut.
The messengers of death.
Yes, those fearsome messengers who normally collect souls at the time of death. They are explicitly forbidden from entering the sacred precincts of Kashi.
Forbidden? By whom?
By Kaal Bhairav. He guards the city limits, spiritually speaking. This is a fundamental theological claim underpinning Kashi's unique status. The city is under Shiva's direct overriding authority, and Kaal Bhairav enforces that boundary, exempting Kashi entirely from Yama's jurisdiction. No Yamdut can cross that line.
Okay, that raises a critical question then. If the usual agents of death, the Yamdut, cannot enter Kashi, who handles the judgment and the transition for those souls who happen to die within the boundaries of Kashi, someone must, right?
Someone does, Kaal Bhairav himself.
Ah, so he's not just the gatekeeper, he's also the judge of the dead within his jurisdiction.
He is the ultimate judge within this sacred zone. Instead of Yama presiding over the potentially painful, perhaps drawn-out post-mortem journey of the soul based on its karma, the Kotwal himself handles the final justice for anyone dying in Kashi.
And this process, it has a specific name, doesn't it? Something like Bhairav.
Exactly, Bhairav. It translates roughly as the suffering or the ordeal or the judgment administered by Bhairav.
Now, the word yatana, I understand, it usually implies torment, pain, suffering. That sounds harsh. Why would the transition in the City of Liberation involve suffering? Isn't that contradictory?
It sounds contradictory, but it's interpreted very differently in this context. This suffering, the Bhairav, is not seen as punishment in the traditional sense, like hellish retribution. It's understood as purification.
Purification, how?
It's an intense, final, and usually instantaneous purification process. When a soul leaves the body within the limits of Kashi, Kaal Bhairav subjects it to this Bhairav. The intensity of the experience rapidly burns away any remaining sins, any lingering karmic residues, any attachments or impressions, some skadas that would normally necessitate rebirth.
So it's like a final, high-intensity spiritual cleansing, compressed into the moment of death.
Precisely. It's the final, accelerated cleansing required to make the soul pure enough to achieve immediate moksha, liberation, thus bypassing the usual, often very long path of transmigration through multiple lifetimes. Kaal Bhairav administers this tough love to ensure liberation.
That puts a completely different spin on the concept of suffering then. If you die in Kashi, yes, you face the fierce judge, Kaal Bhairav, but that very fierceness, that yatana, is actually the mechanism that guarantees your liberation, not just punishment for your sins.
It confirms Kashi's status as a Mahashmashana, the great cremation ground, and a Tarak Kshetra, the field of salvation. The judicial process, the Bhairav, ensures that the soul is rendered pure enough to receive the Taraka mantra, the ultimate liberation mantra, which, tradition holds, Shiva himself whispers into the ear of the dying in Kashi. Kaal Bhairav's fierce judgment is the necessary swift prelude to Shiva's ultimate grace.
So this dual role, the custodian protecting the city's sanctity and the swift purifying judge ensuring liberation for those who die there, makes him absolutely indispensable to the whole theology of Kashi.
Completely indispensable. It's an interesting structure, isn't it? Brahma's sin, the ultimate cosmic crime, finds its only absolution in Kashi. And in return, almost, Kaal Bhairav stays there forever to ensure that every other soul who enters, or especially dies there, also receives a unique, accelerated path to their own absolution. It's like a divine quid pro quo that establishes and maintains Kashi's power.
It really maps out the governance of the spirit world in a very specific way. It connects the highest possible cosmic sin and its resolution directly to the localized spiritual mechanism of liberation in this one city. By understanding Kaal Bhairav, you really start to understand why Kashi holds such a unique, preeminent position in the Hindu world. Okay, so we've established his crucial role in Kashi. Now, if we sort of zoom out and connect this to the bigger picture across India or the subcontinent even, Kaal Bhairav's protective role seems to extend far beyond just the physical boundaries of Varanasi. He's almost like the security director for major sacred sites everywhere, is that right?
That's a very apt way to put it. If we look at the structure of divine authority and protection in certain traditions, particularly Shaktism and Shaivism, Kaal Bhairav's jurisdiction becomes effectively nationwide or perhaps even subcontinental, covering a network of highly sacred places.
And how does that work? What's the connection?
To understand this broader protective role, we need to briefly recall the foundational myth of the Shakti Pithas. These are the seats of the goddess, the most sacred shrines dedicated to the divine feminine, to Shakti.
Right, that story is rooted in the tragedy of Devi Sati, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shiva's first wife, who immolated herself in her father Daksha's sacrificial fire because he insulted Shiva.
Exactly. Shiva was consumed by grief and rage, and he started roaming the cosmos carrying Sati's lifeless body, performing his destructive dance, the Tandava, which threatened to destroy everything.
And Vishnu had to intervene.
Yes. To save the cosmos from Shiva's grief-stricken destruction, Vishnu used his Sudarshan chakra, his discus, to gently dismember Sati's body piece by piece.
Gently, with a discus.
Well, gently in the sense of preserving the sanctity. The point is, wherever a part of her divine body, or sometimes an ornament, fell to earth, her eyes, her tongue, her heart, a toe, an earring, that specific location became supercharged with divine energy. It became a Shakti Pitha, a seat of the goddess's supreme feminine power.
So these sites, tradition says there are 51, sometimes 108, depending on the list, are considered the most potent concentrations of feminine divine energy, of Shakti, in existence. They're like power hotspots.
Exactly. They are geographical anchors of the goddess's power on earth. And naturally, sites of such immense power require protection that matches their sanctity and potency.
And that's where Kaal Bhairav comes in again.
That is precisely where Kaal Bhairav's vow comes into play. According to tradition, Shiva, in his fierce pyro form, vowed to eternally protect these exact sacred spots where Parthasati fell. It became a fundamental obligation for him in this aspect. He essentially becomes the eternal security apparatus for the goddess's dispersed power across the land.
So this isn't just a general protective vibe, but a specific structural necessity that actually shapes the spiritual map of the region.
It is arguably the organizing principle of sacred geography for many Hindus, especially those who follow Shakta or Tantric traditions. Every single major Shakti Pitha, whether it's Kamakhya in Assam, Kalitat in Kolkata, Vaishno Devi in Jammu, Hingajabamata way out in Balochistan, Pakistan, or even sites further afield, sometimes mentioned in Sri Lanka or Nepal, has a corresponding Bhairav temple established nearby, often within the complex or just outside.
A dedicated Bhairav for each Pitha.
Yes, this Bhairav acts as the specific guardian, the Kshatrapala, guardian of the territory, for that particular Shakti Pitha. He often carries a specific name, a local name, which is linked directly to the form of the goddess enshrined at that Pitha. For example, at Calicut, the Bhairav is Nakuleshwar Bhaya. At Kamakhya, it's Umananda Bhairav on a nearby island. There's a pairing.
So he acts as the necessary co-guardian, perhaps. The fierce, masculine counterpart ensuring the safety and controlled access to the immense feminine power contained within the Pitha.
Precisely. He's the indispensable guard. And the belief associated with this is quite unyielding, much like the rule in Kashi. It's held that no one can truly access the spiritual power, the blessings, the core energy of the Shakti Pitha without first receiving the authorization, the agya, or permission of its respective Bhairav guardian.
So again, you have to go through him first.
You typically worship the Bhairav first, or at least acknowledge his presence and authority, before approaching the main shrine of the goddess. He is the indispensable intermediary, the security warden, ensuring that the immense, potentially overwhelming power of the goddess is protected from misuse, from irreverence, from corruption, and perhaps even ensuring the devotee is prepared to receive it. His presence reaffirms his fundamental role as the supreme enforcer of spiritual law and order, not just in Kashi, but across all major sacred sites associated with divine power.
Wow. So if you look at the entire arc of this story, starting from his explosive birth out of Shiva's fury to punish a lie, then his own burden of sin and the long pilgrimage, his liberation in Kashi, his role as Kotwal, and now this widespread guardianship of the Shakti Pithas, it really tells us something profound about the relationship between justice, consequence, redemption, and protection in this worldview.
It absolutely does. It shows that power, even divine power executing justice, is intrinsically linked with accountability. The most terrifying form of Shiva is created specifically to enforce cosmic truth, yet that very act immediately places him under the supreme law of consequence, the law of karma. His story becomes this incredible cyclical journey, born of righteous fire, immediately burdened by sin, cleansed only by the unique power of Kashi, and then, as a result, dedicated eternally to guarding the path to liberation and protecting sacred power for all others. He embodies the entire cycle. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay, so let's try and bring this phenomenal, really extensive journey together for everyone listening. We started with that cosmic clash between Brahma and Vishnu, driven by ego, which forced Shiva to intervene by manifesting as that boundless pillar of fire, the Agni Stam.
Right, the ultimate reality check.
Then Brahma's disastrous lie about reaching the top resulted in the swift, fierce creation of Kaal Bhairav, the Rudravatar, literally born from Mahadev's focused wrath, who then executed the necessary punishment by decapitating the lying head.
A direct consequence. But that act of justice, however necessary, came with its own terrible instantaneous price. The inescapable curse of Brahmahatya, which bound the Kapala, Brahma's skull, firmly to Kaal Bhairav's hand, marking him as a sinner.
And his redemption, his release from that curse, wasn't found at any ordinary holy place or through any standard penance. It was found only and instantly when he reached Kashi. that one place on Earth with the unique theological authority to cleanse even the ultimate cosmic sin.
And that liberation transformed him. He went from being a cursed wanderer to becoming the permanent, unyielding Kotwal of Kashi. He became the fierce judge who replaces Yama within the city's limits, ensuring liberation through the Bhairaviyatana.
And beyond Kashi, he took on the essential role of guardian, the protector paired with every major Shakti Pitha, ensuring the safety and sanctity of the goddess's power across the land.
Exactly. So this whole narrative, rooted in the Shiv Purana and related traditions, reveals some deep and complex theological principles. Firstly, that even divine authority like Brahma, the creator himself, is subject to ethical accountability and can face punishment administered by Shiva's wrathful aspect when truth is violated.
Authority doesn't equal impunity.
Not at all. And perhaps even more profoundly, the story shows that spiritual freedom, true absolution, requires confronting and ultimately absolving the consequences of one's actions, even divinely mandated ones. And in doing so, it demonstrates the supreme, perhaps unparalleled redemptive power of Kashi as the ultimate spiritual sanctuary in this cosmology.
Okay, so here's a final thought, maybe a provocative one for you, the listener, to ponder. We've established Kaal Bhairav as this fierce controller of time, Kaal, of mortality, of judgment and protection. He's the force that governs the end, the final reckoning.
A truly formidable cosmic power.
Yet this great cosmic judge, this embodiment of consequence, received his own freedom, his ultimate liberation from the most profound cosmic sin imaginable in one single specific geographical location, Kashi. So the question to leave you with is this. What does it truly say about the inherent power, the unique spiritual sovereignty of a physical place of Kashi, that it can instantly cleanse the ultimate cosmic transgression, Brahmahatya, a sin so potent that no other pilgrimage site, no other sacred river, no other ritual in the entire universe could even touch it?
Is the place itself, Kashi, somehow inherently mightier than the karmic consequence of even a divine action? Does it represent a pocket of eternity existing outside the normal jurisdiction of universal laws like karma? Or is its power solely derived from Shiva's constant presence there?
Yeah, is the power in the soil or in the deity residing there? Or both? That's definitely something for you to mull over, perhaps research further and explore on your own time. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the eternal fierce guardian, Kaal Bhairav.
Struggling with health, financial worries, wealth, relationships, or career? Don't let these challenges hold you back. Harness the ancient power of authentic Rudraksha, planetary remedies, and Vedic astrology to restore balance and attract success. But act fast. These sacred remedies are in limited stock. Visit kaalmantra.com today to transform your life.
If this resonated with you, join our spiritual journey. Your support keeps us growing. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So comment, share with friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.